Hello friends, the 595th day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. To the situation in Avdiivka, where Russia launched a major offensive yesterday. Let me remind you that yesterday morning reports begin to arrive about a massive attack on this fortified area of the Ukrainian armed forces, which is adjacent to Donetsk. The work of artillery, multiple launch rocket systems and aviation, helicopters and airplanes was announced. Judging by the number of explosions and smoke, the fire density was extremely high. At the same time, Russian military telegram channels announced the beginning of a Russian ground offensive and an advance to the northwest of Avdiivka with the aim of cutting off one of the roads to the city. Yesterday evening, the General Staff confirmed this fact and stated that the attack was carried out by forces of up to 3 battalions with the support of tanks and armored vehicles in the area of Avdiivka, Tonenke, Keramik and Pervomayske. Our defenders repelled all enemy attacks and prevented the loss of lines and position, the report said. The head of the city military administration Barabash reported today that there are dead and wounded civilians in Avdiivka. The situation remains very tense. Indeed, yesterday they launched a massive offensive. At about 3 o'clock, massive shelling of positions around the city began. Both from the north and from the south, they also began shelling the industrial zone itself, Barabash said. According to him, dozens of armored vehicles are involved in the assault, but the Ukrainian armed forces have already knocked out of more than 16 units. Barabash also says that such a scale of attacks has never happened in this direction. Radio Liberty, citing the military, reports that they want to cordon off Avdiivka. One of the largest attacks on the city has occurred. It is reported that Russian forces are advancing in the Avdiivka direction with larger numbers of equipment and personnel to implement their plan to encircle the city. The main goal was to get better position, advance further, and of course, at the final stage, cut the roads leading to Avdiivka and take them into full circle. So far, they have not succeeded in this plan. And thanks to the titanic work of our resistance forces, it will not work, Radio Liberty reports. At the same time, Ukrainian military telegram channels say that the enemy managed to capture certain positions, advancing from Krasnogorivka, Novoselivka II, Vodяне, Piski and Vesele. My friends, the robot will continue.
According to the Deep State Telegram channel, yesterday was one of the most difficult days. At the same time, he claims that Russia has high losses in people and equipment, and the achieved goals of the Russians are called modest. The Russians hoped for a blitzkrieg. The losses of equipment were colossal. Analysts will soon count this. Hundreds of infantrymen were landed, who are still wandering in the gray zone. The fighting continues. Indeed, everything could have been much worse, but the coordinated work of the defense forces gave results. Of course, there were some losses, writes the Ukrainian Telegram channel. On the deep state map, the boundaries of the gray zone near Krasnogorivka and Yevhenii have been expanded. The Russian military telegram channels state that the advance was towards the north from the south to the west from Avdiivka, Stepovy and Berdichi to the northwest. A number of telegram channels claim that battles are already taking place on the outskirts of Berdichi, as well as that the Russians are breaking through to a strategically important waste heap southwest of Krasnogorivka, from which they can control the communications of Avdiivka. But no evidence of this has yet been provided. Deep State also refutes the Russians' approach to Berdichi. Speaker of the General Staff Andriy Kovalev said today that the Russians are trying to encircle Avdiivka and force the Ukrainian armed forces to transfer reserves to this direction. The occupiers are trying to encircle Avdiivka and are trying to divert Ukrainian reserves to this direction in order to weaken the actions of the Ukrainian defense forces, he said. Also in its evening report, the General Staff reports that in the Avdiivka direction, our defenders are courageously holding the line, repelling 10 enemy attacks in the area of the Avdiivka settlement and another 8 attacks in the areas east of Stepovy and southeast of the northern Donetsk region.
Friends, considering what is happening in my country, this channel is now my only source of income. If you are able to support me financially, I will be very grateful. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.